Hi folks, welcome to the channel. We're making this channel primarily for us, to record our little adventures that are going to go on here, and for posterity, so my son, who's the cameraman, can remember his old man years from now. So basically we're starting two parallel projects, a very interesting garage and a vegetable garden. So if you're interested in vegetable gardens, in particular Fort Knox type vegetable gardens, that's the idea here, nothing can get in this vegetable garden, raised planters, etc. You might want to follow along. If you have questions, please leave them. We'll try to answer them as best as we can. If you have suggestions, we could really use those. And then we're building a very interesting garage as well. So there'll be parallel projects going on this channel. So the story is that many years ago, when we were younger, my wife and I bought this beautiful property. And our house is right over there, which my son should turn the camera that way to show. And as you can see, we live in a forest. This was a very long time ago. And shortly after we moved here, my wife and I, we made a beautiful garden. And we planted lots and lots of beautiful vegetables, and it grew like a forest because we brought in, you can see it, we brought in really terrific soil. I mean, this is really great soil. And it was fantastic. And then they grew and they were perfect, and then the animals, of course, ate them all. And so that led us to lots of discovery. Eventually we were able to figure out how to keep the animals out of the garden, and we grew a beautiful garden, beautiful fruits and vegetables. And my wife used to take an old cart, this one, the old one's still down there, it's broken now, it's very old, 30 years old, and a small lawn tractor there we used to have, and she would drive around the neighborhood giving away vegetables. And it was a lot of fun, but life changes. We went on to other adventures. We raced cars for 14 years, both professionally and as amateurs. We had a son. We did a lot of stuff. And slowly the little garden got forgotten. And it was overgrown. And there were trees in here, just rubbish. And then we decided now, 30 plus years later, to start a car collection. And so we bought the first few cars and then discovered we didn't have a place to put them. So now we're scrambling to try and build a garage for the cars. And if you come over here, just show you. So that whole area there is where the garage is going to go. It's quite large. And it's intended to be, by the way, an entertainment area. So, a place full of gorgeous cars and with maybe a racing simulator and beautiful television area and jukebox and some lifts, but for display purposes, intending to work on these cars or whatever. But so it occurred to us that when we build that, we will have landlocked this area, because the only other way to come in here after the fact would be to, either cut more trees, and we don't want to do that because we love our forest, remove our barn and it's too old, or come to the landscape. And so we said, all right, we need to build a garden. If we're ever going to do it again, before we put up the garage. And here we are. So the garden, you can see the pink line here, is 30 by 48, but we're looking to build something unusual. First of all, we don't want to do any weeding. We don't want to spend a lot of time watering. We don't want to fight with the animals. We basically don't want to do anything other than enjoy it, plant it, and eat the stuff. And so we're going to build something, like I said before, kind of like Fort Knox. So to start with, it's going to be on top of a poured slab of concrete that will be steel and fiberglass reinforced, 6 inches deeper at the foundation area, totally impenetrable from underneath. On top of that, we are going to put raised beds, tall ones, 32 inches tall or taller. There'll be about 24 of them in here. Some of them will be interesting. You'll see there's one already sitting down there. That one is actually going to be partially buried in the ground, and there'll be 4 of them, 2 down there and 2 here. Those are going to contain trees, small dwarf fruit trees. They only grow about 8 feet tall, but more importantly, they only grow about 2 feet wide, so they don't cast a lot of shadow. And on top of all that, there's going to be a cage, 17 feet tall at the peak, that surrounds the entire garden. And covering that cage, there's going to be a mesh type material that will have a small spacing so that things like squirrels, etc., can't get in. In fact, nothing but bees will be able to get in. And powering all of that will be some computers, several of them. So we'll be able to collect rainwater and use that. We'll be able to use some solar power to run the computers. But the computers will have sensors at every single area where there's things planted, and they'll be able to automatically water. From the trussers, we will be hanging beautiful baskets with strawberries and flowers. So we want to build something that's not designed to maximize the yield here at all. It has lots of empty space. We want to build something that's beautiful. It's a garden first, and a vegetable garden second. So the idea is to blend vegetables and flowers and fruits and have a gorgeous place where you can come out to enjoy, sit down, read a book, play with your tablet a little bit, look on your phone, whatever. And with what we're trying to achieve here is the maximum amount of beauty, maximum amount of fun with the most minimal amount of effort. And that's why we're willing to put in the effort now. And so if you have any suggestions towards those goals, let us know. And so we'll be posting videos as we go along, as we begin to develop. So the next stage is to finish the other 3 planters, lay them roughly out here so we can figure out where we want to put them. And the next big stage, of course, will be the concrete guys are going to show up, and they're going to pour this concrete slab. And from there, we'll begin to post videos on a fairly regular basis as development happens. Let us know if you have any questions or especially suggestions, and thank you for dropping by.